next group is just going to have a text saying welcome and then the user's name. So user info group, what is it called? Yeah, user info group has welcome and then the name, and then we have the other group below that. So text welcome text. It's going to say welcome, and then they're supposed to have their name below that. How are we going to get the name in there? We are going to use the Noodle backend for this project, which means that we have access to the wonderful user node. So when somebody logs in Noodle, you get this user node, and it's essentially just a record call to the database concerning the current user. Is it a record call? Or is it just stored maybe on the front end? Can't remember exactly, but let's just say yes, that's probably right. So there's my email that I put in last time when we tested signing up. And we get all of the data. So this is the bubble equivalent of saying current users, whatever. You just put a user node down and that will do that data call for you. Now, would it be more efficient to do this node and then assign it to an object? I would be interested to ask the Noodle team if this node is doing a call every time or not. And we don't even have to ask actually, because what we can do is go into the inspector, into the network tab. So Noodle has an inspector, the little debug icon at the top. And what we can do is it's now recording. If I refresh the page, it's recording. And I should see a get there somewhere, but I don't. Yeah, no, I should see a get, but I don't. Do I? No. Yeah, it's all good. It's just stuff. So if I assign the name, oh, because it's, oh yeah, I put first name and last name, so I made that choice, did I? So my choice is either go back in the database and do first name, last name, full name, or just carry on working with first name and last name, and every time that I have a first name and last name, I just do a string format and do first name, last name. And this is the kind of thing where I might start kind of creating a user info reusable component, because I don't want to have to put that everywhere. Like every time I put user somewhere, I have to also then create a string format, and I have to also find out if the user is subscribed or not. I have to do that as well. So there's logic to say you're going to want to know stuff about the user quite often. And the more that builds up, the more I can build outputs in the future. So I am going to put that in my global logic components. I'm going to call this get user info. This could conceivably be a cloud function as well, or we can put cloud functions in here with the argument that we might want to get user info secretly. We might not want to have this user's info. Maybe we want a different user's info. Or maybe we want to ask something about this user that requires a database call, and so we'd rather do that in the cloud rather than have the user waiting on the front end for that. But we'll get to that. I don't need that right now. So the user data we want is with the string format. Again, I could have chosen to do this in the database, but I'd rather just do it here in a component, because I think I like the idea of using components. Last name. And it gives me control over that, thing of, do I want the user to be stored in an element or something like that? I could maybe have that element in here instead, the object, sorry, instead of having the user thing. But it looks like it's not doing a call, so we'll see. User string, first name, last name, format, full name, output, first name, last name, full name. So I've sort of augmented the output of that node. And this is something that's coming up again and again for me, is that the pre-built Noodle nodes are great, but very quickly in very quickly in projects, I start feeling like I should have these attached to something else. I'll give you an example, which was I was doing a file uploading thing in another project, and I realized that every time I upload a file, I actually want to have it sanitize the file name, because parse, which Noodle uses for their backend cloud services, it can't process files that have the strict naming policy. You can't have files with parentheses, for example. So if you have like picture parentheses 1 because it's a copy, it won't accept it. So I had the file picker going into a file sanitizing function that was very kindly given to me by Michael Cartner from the Noodle team. And then that led out into an output to say sanitized file ready for upload. So every time I never placed the file picker ever again. I placed this logic component that I created to do that. So we've got first name, last name, full name. Probably we'll need email at some point, I guess. Just why not? Just have it all email and authenticated as well. Oops. I want to know if the user is really logged in or not. This might seem like, why go to the bother of doing this just to have this one thing? It's because I predict, and I think I'll be right, that user is one of those things that I've used in projects all over the place to get information about their subscription status, their last bill, something like that. And so it just feels right to have this kind of information in a reusable component that then I can just augment anytime. I can just add stuff to it whenever I want to. So it makes my life much easier. Basically, you're making a mini prefab for yourself, right? Which I think is a nice idea. So here now I have more stuff than what I had before, including full name, text, Richard Osborne. That's me. Okay,